It started like any other Thursday afternoon at a small department store in downtown Denver. A teenage girl no older than 17 casually browsed the aisles, picking up items, checking prices, pretending to blend in. She was wearing oversized sunglasses and a hoodie pulled low over her face. The security cameras caught her slipping a few cosmetics and accessories into her backpack. It wasn't unusual. Shoplifting happened often, but something about her movements made the store manager suspicious. She wasn't rushing. She wasn't nervous. She looked too calm, too rehearsed. As she headed for the exit, the alarm went off. Store security approached her. She didn't resist. She just stood there like she was waiting for this moment. They checked her bag, confirmed the stolen items, and called the police. A basic case, or so they thought. But when officers ran her ID, the room shifted. Her name didn't match her fingerprints. In fact, the name she gave didn't exist in any database. When they ran her prints through the national database, the results came back flagged. She wasn't a local teenager. She wasn't even 17. She was 21 years old, and had been missing for 3 years. But that wasn't the worst part. She was wanted by the FBI for identity theft, wire fraud, and the suspicious disappearance of a wealthy family in Oregon. A nationwide manhunt had been quietly running for months, and no one expected to find her walking casually out of a Claire's store in Denver with stolen eyeliner in her bag. But what came next shocked everyone. After her arrest, the young woman who police now identified as Alicia Monroe was placed in a holding cell downtown. She didn't say a word. No calls. No questions. Just silence. But behind that silence was chaos, because the moment her fingerprints matched, a red alert hit the FBI's system. Within hours, 2 federal agents were on a flight to Denver. Here's the chilling part. Alicia Monroe wasn't always a criminal. 3 years earlier, she was just a brilliant college student from Portland, Oregon, top of her class, scholarship recipient, even worked part-time at a tech startup. Then, one summer, she vanished. Completely. No phone calls, no texts, no credit card activity. Her parents filed a missing person report, but with no signs of struggle or foul play, her case went cold. Until now. But how did a once promising student end up on the FBI's most wanted list? Here's what investigators found. Small diamond: during the months before her disappearance, Alicia had secretly opened multiple bank accounts under false names. Small diamond: she had hacked into the systems of a private wealth firm, siphoning over $3 million across several dummy accounts. Small diamond: one of the accounts was tied to the Holloway family, a wealthy couple and their son who mysteriously vanished 6 months after Alicia went missing. Police initially suspected the Holloways had fled the country for tax evasion, but when Alicia's name popped up, everything changed. One chilling discovery tied it all together. A receipt found in Alicia's backpack the night she was arrested, dated just a week earlier, for fuel, food, and 3 burner phones in the same town the Holloways were last seen alive. Federal agents arrived in Denver less than 12 hours after Alicia's arrest. What they brought with them shocked even the local police. One agent, Agent Ramirez, opened a slim black folder. Inside were photos from a surveillance drone. The location: a remote mountain range 2 hours from Denver. In the photos, a small wooden cabin, off-grid. No roads, no neighbors, no power lines, but there was a vehicle, a black Chevy Tahoe, parked outside. That car, registered to the Holloway family. Alicia, still refusing to speak, was transported under federal custody. On the way to the FBI field office, she whispered just one thing to Agent Ramirez: "They're still alive, but not for long." The next morning, a SWAT team hiked up to the remote cabin with drones overhead. The cabin looked deserted until they got closer. What they found inside is something investigators still refuse to comment on publicly. But a leaked report gave chilling details. Small diamond in the main room, a makeshift surveillance setup, with screens showing live feeds of different forest trails. Small diamond: one of the rooms had 3 beds, each with restraints. Small diamond: a notebook filled with coded entries, dates, and initials. Small diamond: under the floorboards, a locked steel box with passports, crypto wallets, and a hidden flash drive. But no Holloways. Only one recent trace: a child's toy bear, still warm from the sun. Someone had been there, possibly just hours before the raid. Back at the FBI field office, agents cracked open the encrypted flash drive found beneath the cabin floor. What they uncovered sent shockwaves through the entire investigation. Inside the drive, a folder named V Project. Dozens of encrypted documents, surveillance videos dated back 6 months before the family vanished, and most disturbingly a folder labeled Trial Logs. The videos showed grainy footage of people in the woods. Different individuals blindfolded, disoriented, barefoot. In each clip, a voice would calmly say, "Trial 4 begins now. Time starts at 3:12 p.m. Then, screams. The investigators realized these were forced psychological experiments. And from the timestamps and names in the logs, it seemed that the Holloway family was being used as part of these trials. But why? Small Diamond, who was behind this? Small Diamond, what was the V Project? Small Diamond, and how did Alicia, a schoolteacher with no criminal history, fit into it? One chilling note stood out in the trial log. Written in shaky handwriting, Subject 3 attempted escape, failed. Subject 1 punished. Logged. AH. The initials matched Alicia Holloway. Suddenly, the story flipped. Was she a victim, or the architect of the entire operation? And if she wasn't working alone, who else was involved? A lead agent whispered to another during the debriefing. This isn't just a family disappearance. This might be a covert black project gone rogue. 3 days after the FBI decrypted the flash drive, a man walked into the Denver field office. He looked terrified, unshaven, exhausted. His name was Martin Kells, a former IT contractor for a private defense firm called Gentech Systems. His first words, "I know what happened to the Holloway family. And I think they're still alive unless Protocol 9 was triggered." The room fell silent. Martin explained he had been hired to erase surveillance data from a series of off-grid test sites. One of those sites, the cabin where the Holloways had stayed. But as he dug into the files, he noticed something strange. Multiple video feeds running live, not from one cabin but from 6 locations, each labeled containment area, and one tagged with the name Subject 4 Alicia Holloway. He began secretly copying logs and saving screenshots. But before he could gather everything, his access was revoked, and he was given a final paycheck with a non-disclosure warning. Fearing for his life, he disappeared. Until now, he told the FBI that Project V was a behavioral warfare experiment, meant to test how ordinary people react under extreme isolation, surveillance, and psychological manipulation. The Holloways, it seemed, had been selected. They didn't vanish. They were taken. Martin also revealed something chilling. There's a failsafe built into every trial. If the subject tries to escape, Protocol 9 is triggered. That means full site termination. Burn everything. Erase all trace. He pulled out one last piece of evidence. A printed email chain. One line stood out in bold red. Execute Protocol 9. Timestamp: 4:26 a.m., March 9th. Location: cabin site Delta-4. March 9th. That was the morning the Holloways disappeared. The FBI, now in possession of Martin Kells' evidence, deployed a covert recon team to locate cabin site Delta-4. The coordinates were deep in the Rocky Mountains, unmarked, and far off any official maps. When the agents arrived, they weren't prepared for what they saw. The cabin was gone, not collapsed, not decayed, erased, just a patch of scorched earth. The trees surrounding it were charred in a perfect radius about 300 feet wide. In the center, melted fragments of what used to be surveillance cameras, charred metal restraints, and something worse. Partially buried in ash, they uncovered a human jawbone. Nearby, a scorched stuffed bear missing an eye. Alicia's bear. The forensic team began combing the area and discovered accelerant traces, inconsistent with a natural fire. This wasn't an accident. It was a purge. Back at the FBI lab, the jawbone was tested. DNA results came in within 36 hours. No match to any Holloway family member. Whoever had died in that fire was someone else, or something else. And then came the audio clip recovered from a melted hard drive Martin had managed to decrypt weeks earlier. The file was glitchy but horrifying. Static. Woman crying. Screaming. A low, distorted voice. "They see us now. End it. End it." Then, silence. One final timestamp. 4:26 a.m., the exact time Protocol 9 was ordered. 6 months after the discovery of the burned site, the Holloway case was quietly archived by the FBI under the classification, non-survivable abduction, external interference likely. But Martin Kells didn't stop. Obsessed and paranoid, he spent day after day combing through decades of surveillance archives, including illegal backdoor feeds from private security networks and government black sites. Then, on March 3, 2024, he found something. Footage from a mental institution in Wyoming, timestamped 2 days after the Holloways vanished. At 3:13 a.m., a security camera captured a tall, thin man being escorted through the hallway by 2 armed guards. He wasn't restrained, he walked willingly. But his face was blurred, not pixelated, not edited. It was as if the camera lens refused to focus on him. Frame by frame, Martin enhanced the footage. In one brief second, the blur cleared just enough to see a tattoo on the man's hand. A tattoo that matched James Holloway's military ID ink. But James was supposed to be dead. Martin traced the institution's records, but there were no entries of anyone matching that description. The guards, never identified. The hallway, later demolished. That night, Martin called his closest colleague, whispering one line before hanging up. He didn't vanish. He was taken. And he came back wrong. Martin's apartment was broken into less than 48 hours later. No signs of struggle. His hard drives were gone. He hasn't been seen since. After Martin Kells disappeared, the Holloway story should have faded like all the others, into cold case files and internet conspiracy forums. But something strange happened. Journalists began getting anonymous tips. Not through email, not on the dark web. Voicemails. Old school, analog voicemails, left on landlines with no caller ID. Every message began the same way. This didn't start with the Holloways. It won't end with them. One reporter, Emily Grant, decided to track these calls. She noticed a pattern. The voicemails were all left at exactly 3:13 a.m. the same time James Holloway was last seen on that footage Martin uncovered. She dug deeper and connected with a hacker group known as EchoNet. They had intercepted a leaked Department of Defense file titled Project Recursion, Timeline Corrections and Personnel Replacements. Inside was a redacted list of civilian families flagged as temporal liabilities. The Holloways were on it. So were 7 other families that had vanished between 1999 and 2023, all under similar circumstances. Burnt dinner. No signs of struggle. Clocks frozen at 3:13. The final page of the report said, replacements issued, timeline stabilized, observation ongoing. Emily tried to go public. She uploaded her findings to a secure cloud server and scheduled a livestream on her independent news site. The stream cut off 4 minutes in. The footage glitched and looped the phrase, "The Holloways never existed." Emily's friends say she fled the country. Others say she was silenced. But the strangest part, a Christmas card was sent to her office 3 months later. It had no return address. No handwriting. Just a photo of the Holloway family smiling. With one word on the back. Soon after the cryptic photo card arrived at journalist Emily Grant's office, her team, what was left of it, went dark. Not out of fear, but to prepare. They began calling the anomaly, the countdown. Because after the Holloways vanished, then Martin, then Emily, others followed. One by one, people connected to the story began to disappear. A podcaster who covered the Holloways daily, vanished after tweeting, "Greater than 3:13 isn't a time. It's a warning." A Reddit moderator for missing persons posted an image of a map with red X's marked over 8 cities, all where families had gone missing over the years. He claimed the 9th was coming. It was his city. He lived in Fairfield, Iowa. 3 days later, a neighborhood in Fairfield reported a complete block outage. Power, Wi-Fi, cameras, gone. Police responded within 10 minutes. The homes were intact. The lights returned. But all 11 families living on that block were missing. Their dinners, warm. Their clocks, frozen at 3:13. But this time something new. A piece of paper taped to a child's bedroom mirror. "You kept digging. Now it's your turn. See you at midnight." Underneath was a printed list. Emily Grant's name, Martin Kells, every journalist, podcaster, or online sleuth who touched the case. And at the bottom, the Observer, the only one left. No one knows who the Observer is. But rumor says it's someone watching us, watching you, watching this video. And that countdown, it's not to when they disappear. It's when they come back. Emily Grant was never seen again. Her last message, an encrypted audio file sent to an anonymous investigator. In it, her voice was shaky, tired but sharp. They weren't abducted. They weren't killed. They left because something told them to. She continued, every missing person from this case left clues. In photos, mirrors, clocks, in the silence itself. And then she dropped a line that stopped the investigator cold. We're asking the wrong question. It's not why they vanished. It's where are they waiting? A location was embedded in the audio metadata. Holloway's abandoned lake house. Authorities arrived. Inside was a wall of Polaroids, hundreds. All labeled, all dated. Some showed the Holloways. Others were dated weeks in the future. Faces of people who hadn't disappeared yet. At the bottom corner of the photo wall was one last picture. Dark, blurry, a close-up of a computer screen. On it, a YouTube video. This one, title, The Holloway Disappearance Explained, and handwritten in red marker across it. If you're watching this, it's already too late. If the FBI had her on their most wanted list all this time, why did they wait until a simple shoplifting incident to make their move? What were they really watching and what were they afraid they'd find if they acted sooner? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.